Oi pessoal, meu nome é Erika Xavier e vocês estão no Casalzão X. Antes de começar o vídeo de hoje, se inscreva no canal, toque o sininho para subir todas as notificações e não se esqueça de comentar muito, deixar bastante like e seguir a gente nas nossas redes sociais. Eu vou deixar nossas redes na descrição desse vídeo, tá bom? Bom, o vídeo de hoje é referente a uma entrevista com Boyd Bushman. Quem não conhece, Boyd Bushman era um cientista norte-americano, né, que antes de falecer deixou alguns relatos do que ele já tinha feito já na toda a carreira dele de cientista. Ele relata que ele já trabalhou com extraterrestres, né? Fazendo naves e também mostra fotos. O relato é bem legal. Eu vou deixar nesse vídeo. Assiste até o final que vocês vão gostar. Tem várias coisas muito interessantes que nem eu sabia. E quando eu fiquei sabendo, fiquei chocada. Mas é isso, pessoal. Curte bastante esse vídeo. Comenta bastante pra gente estar chegando na nossa meta aqui no YouTube, tá bom? Um beijão do Casalzão X.
My name is Boyd Bushman. I'm a senior scientist from Lockheed Martin. I have 27 patents. Approximately 13 years ago, I ran across a person who had been given a job by Dr. Teller. Dr. Teller was Oppenheimer's right-hand man, and even after Oppenheimer was thrown out of Area 51, Dr. Teller stayed there and was in charge of several programs. The person that I contact twice to 3 times per month is the head of that program now. And they continually update me on everything they possibly can. I do have a top secret clearance. I choose, however, for their purposes, not to use it because they, the intelligent ones of me and me, actually believe that a great deal of information should be lifted up from those dark recesses of Area 51 and moved over so people can see it. So that's what began about 13 years ago. Since I am a scientist, I do not believe in theory. I basically say, follow the data, theory be damned. If something can't verify by a physical test that something is true, then I do not care to accept it in that I present. Therefore, everything that we present here will be data that comes directly from them through me to you. I asked them to tell me about who was flying these things. He therefore said, fine, they're approximately 5 feet, 4.5 to 5 feet tall. They had one or two of them around it that were 230 years old, and we have a total of at least 18 that exist and operate with our facility as Teller set it up. Now notice the eyes are different, nose are different, but they do have 5 fingers, 5 toes, 2 eyes, and rather strangely enough, I asked him how they communicate. He says, well, it's like this, Boyd. You all of a sudden have a question in your mind. You walk into a room with one of them, and all of a sudden you find yourself giving the answer to your question in your own voice. They're able to use your own voice by telepathy to talk to you. And I said, fine. Now that's how they look front. But when you turn around and look at the back, it's like that. Now notice that they have 3 backbones. They're actually cartilage. Nevertheless, it's a much more efficient system as ours. They also have 3 ribs in their system rather than more. This is also the back side of an alien. Here's a 45-degree look. And now when we talk about aliens, I pushed the issue and he said, well, there's kind of 2 groups of aliens. He divided them, they divide them into 2 groups. One group he calls, it's like you have a ranch. And you have a ranch and you find that one group are your wranglers that know how to wrangle your cattle. There are others are rustlers, ones that steal your cattle. And indeed, that the 2 groups do act differently. To the ones that are wranglers are much more friendly and have a better relationship with us. Here's the other side of the alien too. Now also notice that their feet, where they have 5 toes, the toes are joined together like a frog, yet they are dissimilar. And this is the home planet that they come from, which they call Quintonia. Now notice that the hand, that's an alien hand. Notice that that the fingers are longer than ours by quite a bit, about 30% longer, and that's just the way they're put together. I do, because of some very good reasons, keep things within control, but I don't want us to fall behind the Russians and Chinese. And the problem I have is that Area 51 is working with both the Russians and Chinese right now. And trying to make UFOs, they have, there's been a total of 39 United States citizens that have lost their lives trying to reverse engineer UFOs. And the last one I heard of was a year and a half ago, where we lost 19 lives in one test. They actually wanted to bring various flying craft near the UFO, and the UFO defended itself, and 19 of our people died. Turned out to be a doctor, very, very fine gentleman, and I was carrying on a conversation with him. He saw how the subject was going, so he simply said, well, you need to know what I did one day. And I said, okay. He said, I was in the process of doctoring a pilot who was a test pilot, a Navy test pilot for the United States government. And it was 1947. He basically told me that the radar group, had found a blip out over New Mexico, and that they would like to assign me to go out and check it out. So he said, fine, I'll do that. And he got the fastest airplane that existed then, which was propeller at the time. And it was fully armed and all the rest of those things. He was out flying, and he found the item, and he immediately communicated back, and he said I wish authority, first of all, I want you to tell me, are there any other airplanes flying? Are there commercial or anything else around other than he and I? Said, just the two of you. And he said, fine. Second thing I want to know is, do I have authority to shoot it down? I said, why do you want authority to shoot it down? He says, because I am flying the fastest thing that the United States can make, and he's beginning to leave me. Therefore, I know he's either a friend or an enemy, and if he's leaving me, he's an enemy. Therefore, I wish authority to shoot it down. The commander said, fine. He granted him authority. He pulled in. He shot him down. He came down. He flew past and saw that there was a road on the one side of a fence area. He came down and landed his airplane. Hard to do, but he did it. And then he cut across the fence. One of them, the door was open. One of them was out walking around. But he didn't care about that. He cared about what the vehicle was. So he went over, and rather strangely enough, when he ducked down, because they're only 5 feet high, he saw that he could see through the walls. Not only that, but as he stepped in, the floor was spongy. He looked at the 3 that were there, and they were dead. He knew they were. He'd killed them. But he also knew that the military would come, and he had put up with those guys for a long time. So he went back across the barbed wire fence, got in his airplane, and took off. When I got up with my contacts in Area 51, I brought up that story, and they said, well, that's totally true, but we can't say it, you can.